pass on something to the young men and show them that you can be godly and have fun.
It is great, we're looking good.
What you're looking at is our family.
We focus on total women's health and wellness.
These stories here can inspire them to handle the day-to-day problems.
Dr. King was a wake-up call for America's minds and hearts.
Hey, I'm Ray Baker. Welcome to DC Summer Recap. I'm going to take you on an exciting adventure of all the amazing things that happened in and around the Washington, D.C. area this 2011 summer. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a recap of the best and brightest that all of Washington, D.C. has to offer.
Well, put it this way, this is our 19th annual Caribbean Act Extravaganza here in Washington, D.C. And for me, it's a heartfelt gratitude to see this all come together. You know, this year was a challenging year for us with the financial situation in the city, and for us to have a late start and still put it together and create this beautiful, exciting event in Washington, D.C. I'm overwhelmed right now. Culturally, my family is from the island of Nevis in the Eastern Caribbean. I grew up in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. But I came here after attending school at Hampton University and Old Dominion University. Washington has been my home for the last 27 years. I consider myself a true Caribbean person, not just a person from Nevis or a person from St. Croix. I mean, everything that I do reflects the Caribbean. I mean, our culture through music. I'm a musician, lead of the Image Band. I play the cricket, I'm a cricketer, and I also plan a carnival, so what more Caribbean can you get? So anytime I get involved in an event like this, I feel at home. Washington is my home away from home.
I want to welcome everybody to the Caribbean Festival this year.
It was fantastic. You know, first of all, it's my first year as mayor. You know, and being the mayor and being a part of the Caribbean Festival, there's absolutely nothing like it. And frankly, it was wonderful to be able to walk the entire route. It was a wonderful feeling. You know, just to get out, taking photos with people, walking down the sidewalk, you know, going back and dancing with the, you know, the steel bands. It was fantastic.
DC Carnival was so fun, even Mayor Gray had to get into the action. Young and old have been coming down for 19 years to enjoy all the culture and flavor of the Caribbean. And for as fun as this year was, next year promises to be even better.
To enjoy all the different Caribbean festivals and all the different nations coming together in one Caribbean festival atmosphere.
I just came to see everyone, eat at Soul Vegetarian Restaurant, Exodus Soul Cafe down the street. I love the dancers, I love the culture. I lived right on Euclid, so it was just a block away.
I'm a Trinity born, and this is we culture, the Caribbean culture. Very different, but we are bringing it to like how it is home. Nice and clean and sweet.
I think we all look the same though, because same music, same culture, same lifestyle.
What do you enjoy when you come out here and see Carnival? What do you look forward to the most? What do you enjoy?
I enjoy everything.
What's one of the best things that you see when you come out here?
The girls.
I always say, this is the greatest summer festival in North America, second to none.
A summer staple anywhere you are is barbecue. Washington, D.C. is no exception. We went down to the National Capital Barbecue, had great food, heard some great music, and met some really interesting people.
Hey, D.C., you're the best, you're the best, hey, you're the best.
This is the 19th annual Safeway National Capital Barbecue Battle right here on the streets of Pennsylvania Avenue, downtown DC. You'll notice the Capitol Dome right behind me over here. We've got 150,000 people coming downtown this weekend to enjoy tons of barbecue from all over the world. We've got barbecue competitions going on this weekend, some award shows tonight actually, announcing the championship of barbecue for the weekend. It's one of the top 5 barbecue battles in the entire country. DC is actually one of the healthiest cities in the country. We have some vendors here who surprisingly, actually Men's Health magazine named pork barrel barbecue sauce one of the healthiest and must-have sauces at the grocery store. So we have some health-conscious sauces out there, some pretty interesting combinations of what goes into those sauces and what they enjoy. There's also, you know, proportion control. Get lots of loads up of brisket and barbecue.
DC Barbecue, fantastic event. We're a barbecue sauce and dry rub company. First and foremost, our barbecue sauce was named the National Award winner by Men's Health magazine last year in 2010 as the best sauce in the nation and one of the 125 best foods for men. It's a great sauce. It's got all natural ingredients. There's no high fructose corn syrup in it. There's no MSG. It's gluten-free. You know, we really wanted to compete out here on the national circuit with really high-quality products, and we've been able to take that quality from a competition and bottle it and bring it across the country to over 40 states into a retail setting.
We do this to benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, and in the past 19 years, this event itself has raised over $1 million. I think it's 1.2 million plus a little bit more this year as well, just for that Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, and it's it's one of their largest event drawings throughout the year.
It's fantastic. It's all about love. It's all about taking care of all of our kids. Boys and Girls of Greater Washington has 21 locations, not just in district, but also in Virginia and Maryland, and we just think that we want to here to serve all kids. Now, the barbecue battle, though, specifically pinpoints our DC kids, our DC clubs, and we're grateful for that.
We're heavily involved with community organizations here where we have a chance to work with and give product to military organizations, military support organizations, as well as support the Boys and Girls Club here right in the Washington area.
What was your favorite thing you had here?
The Sloppy Joe.
You like the Sloppy Joe? What was good about the Sloppy Joe?
It had taste to it.
Good taste? Do you cook?
Little bit.
You think you might want to learn to cook barbecue now?
Yes.
Well, you know, barbecue can take me anywhere. But for the Girls and the Boys Club, this is a great thing to do. And the NBA is bringing this sports nation out. So you get a little bit of the NBA experience. We've been having a great time. The kids have been out, parents been out, and everybody has been acting accordingly.
And you know we couldn't come to a barbecue without getting something to eat.
It is finger-licking good.
It's great. You know, we're happy to be part of the event. We're happy to be able to contribute something back to the community. That's kind of what it's all about. When you get a restaurant, you know, you rely on your neighbors and community for business. It feels great to be able to give back.
And I'm gonna tell you how good it is. I haven't eaten meat in a long time, and today I felt victim to it. Really? And I just want to tell you, I'll sin again if it was left up to this. That's all I want to tell you. Sorry for all my vegetarians out there, but try the ribs today. Tomorrow, just do a cleansing. Live for today.
Now, you guys competed last year. How'd you do?
We did fairly well, considering it was our first time. We were kind of shocked that we didn't place as high as we did, but we're hoping this year that we place a little higher than we did last year.
And so what's your specialty? Things that you put on the grill, and everybody knows it comes from Mo and Luke.
Well, you know what, to be honest with you, all of our things are special, but we specialize in those ribs. Ribs is our real deal, and we bring a couple of different sauces to you, but we call it that comeback sauce. Once you taste it, you got to come back and get some more.
You think it's good? What is your best thing that you're most proud of as far as when you're in the kitchen, you're cooking everything up?
When I'm doing something up, you know, in the kitchen, to me, the biggest thing is brings my pleasure is probably turning that food. It was like my dad's. When I'm at home, I try to duplicate what he taught me how to do, which was old school, which you really don't do much of out here. But when I'm home and I do that old school cooking, it makes me feel good.
We've had more attendees this year than we did last year, which is fantastic for us. We've had advanced ticket sales and people coming in on site. It's been a wonderful experience for us. Everybody I've talked to has loved it so far this weekend. Next year is our 20th annual. We're expecting it to be really, really big, so come on down. We may even do a couple of events before the 20th annual around the country, just so people get a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a flavor of all the barbecue and bands. They can come down and enjoy the full festival. It's going to be in June next year.
The Brentwood Arts Exchange is a central pillar in a major arts district right here in Prince George's County. There's a diversity of artists, patrons, and curators who all take in and appreciate the amazing visual arts right here in our backyard.
What we try to do is offer top quality art shows for a really wide audience, and as you can see, I'm standing in our craft store. We have all local craft artists, and then of course we have a large classroom. We offer summer camps, we offer adult classes, we offer kids classes. Some programs are for a fee, and when we can, we try to offer some things for free, especially for kids. So during this summer, we have a show called Artistic Reflections. It's in honor of David Driscoll's 80th birthday, and David Driscoll probably needs no introduction. He has such a huge impact on artists in the area. So we have some of his work, and then we have artwork by 3 of his former students who are all relatively prominent themselves, some very prominent. Sylvia Snowden, Stormanda Bullock, Jeremy Austin. And it really shows that a wide range of artwork. If you come here, you get a chance to see 4 really different takes on artwork, and then really think about how they are connected, and through one person, David Driscoll.
I really look to him, even still to this day, for a lot of advice, when needed, or he's just so wise, and he's done it all. So you can't go wrong asking someone like that for advice. But I think that it was more through immersion, and I saw how he blended his faith tradition into his work, and so that later became a real inspiration for me. Like, well, how can I do it, but without being literal? Because in the Baha'i faith, we're not supposed to try to represent, say, the manifestations of God in a realistic way, because it would be inadequate, the portrayal. And that doesn't discount what came before, because what came before was necessary. But to see how he allowed his faith to influence his work was similar to then how I wanted my faith to influence my work.
Mr. Driscoll and I go way back. When I was working on my thesis for my MFA in the 1970s, Dr. Driscoll at that time was head of the department, the art department at Fisk University. And a component of my thesis was on Aaron Douglas, and at that time Aaron Douglas had retired from Fisk, but his papers were there and a lot of information about him was there. So I went specifically to Fisk in Nashville, Tennessee, and I tell you, Dr. Driscoll just opened his arms to me, directed me to resources in the library and people in the library to help me with research. He had materials himself, so it was just a very helpful, wonderful experience. His importance still is continuing. His legacy is wonderful. His teaching, I think began in 1955 at Talladega. So from then, 1955, and then he retired from the University of Maryland, I believe, in 1998. So you can see that's a big legacy. Now that's just the teaching legacy. That's not the art legacy. That's another story. Dr. Driscoll is a real marvel.
I studied with Dr. Driscoll. I've known him since I was 19 years old. And he still is very supportive and influential in my life and on my painting. There are many things that he taught me at Howard University that I still utilize in my painting today. The use of color, the use of texture, the use of design. He has been a very supportive person. He is still supportive of me, and he's very, very encouraging. And he's a person that I received a note from, as all of his notes are handwritten 2 weeks ago, with even more encouragement. Howard University represented everything to me in the art field, aside from my parents, of course, who still support me too. But the people like David C. Driscoll, Lois M. Jones, James Wells, James A. Porter, those are the pillars for what I do today.
In my opinion, I think he was grounded well in education. He started with a gentleman that was called the Dean of African American Printmakers or Printers. and that was James Lassane Wells. That was his first teacher at Howard University. What a way to start. And from there, his exposure to the other teachers that were there at Howard University, I think, started his rich experience, and he passed that on to other people. Well, let me say that in this particular show, Chieftain's Chair is hot off the press, 2011. So Dr. Driscoll is still working hard, still producing fantastic work, still lecturing, and still building his legacy, which is huge, huge. We will never know really how big it is until many years in the future.
The biggest fitness craze sweeping the nation also caught Washington, D.C. this summer. We went out into Silver Spring, Maryland to see the ladies of Divas MPH as they taught everyone how to Zumba.
Who's been keeping up with their accountability partner? Divas MPH, Making Our People Healthier, is a nonprofit organization founded about 2 years ago, and we operate here locally in the Washington, D.C. area. We focus on total women's health and wellness, which includes physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and financial. The idea behind Divas MPH is that we educate and empower women to take on healthier and more well lives, and that they would then educate and empower their sisters, daughters, sons, partners, families, and communities to do the same.
When this cheese get really, really melty, like if you wanted to put it in the oven, it's just goozes, and you think it's bad for you, but it's really not. Everything in moderation is key with anything that you eat.
Today we're having week 3 of a 6-week series on fitness and nutrition. Today we're having actually a live cooking demonstration followed by a Zumba class. But we have a number of different classes that we've hosted, so that includes yoga, aerobics, strength and conditioning, West African dance, hip-hop dance. So we're trying to really encourage women to kind of step outside of the norm in order to, you know, exercise and get fit.
Zumba is a Latin-based, Latin-inspired fitness class. And it started about 10 years ago. Actually, Zumba Fitness is celebrating the 10th year anniversary, and it started with the creator, Beto, who is from Colombia, and he went to his regular aerobics class to go teach it. He forgot his CD and decided to, you know, play his music that he loves. And from there, it just grew. He moved to Florida and Miami, and Zumba has just been growing ever since. It's fun, and that's what keeps people coming back. It's dance inspired, but do you have to know how to dance? No. But the idea is just to get people moving, and we need to see a lot more of that in the African American community. It's for everybody. I mean, you can, you know, you always have to work out at your own pace, no matter, you know, your fitness level. You have to work out at your own pace. You have to know your body. But there is Zumba Gold, which is for inactive folks or even older folks, you know, 55 and older. There's Zumba Atomic for kids, that's fairly new. There's Aqua Zumba, so you can party in the pool. There's a little bit of everything. There's Zumba in the circuit. You'll see at some Curves locations. So yes, it is for everyone. You can even Zumba sitting in a chair if you're not able to get up and move around. So yes, everybody can do it.
The whole idea about working with the faith-based community was something that just came to us, and we felt that we haven't had a chance to work with them before. So this is a good place to, one, find the women, find women of various ages, and then get multiple participation from different churches. Women are basically the nucleus of the family. So if it's the women, or if you have children, or if you have a husband, or anybody, brothers and sisters in your family, they're most likely to follow and do as you say, and you're most likely the caregivers and caretakers of these people. So you have to get them so they can encourage it on their family.
Why are you here today?
For two reasons: to try to continue to keep myself healthy, and to network with some of the presenters, because we have a health program at our church.
It was a really good workout, and you can work at your own rate of speed.
and just have fun.
Oh, the nutrition piece was wonderful. Some salads. I'm not a salad person, but I did get the recipes, and I think I'm going to use some of them at some barbecues.
I'm enjoying it.
You're enjoying your time out here? Is this your first time doing Zumba?
My first time doing Zumba.
Is it fun?
Yes, fun.
you think you would do this on your own?
No, not yet.
It doesn't even really have to be high impact to be intense, but it's intense. I like it.
Is this something you see yourself doing after this?
Oh yeah, certainly. I plan to follow up and keep taking classes. So.
How has this experience, all the workshops and everything been overall?
Awesome. I've been doing the whole Faith in Deeds since day one, and it's an awesome program. It's a great way for people to get fit with a group of people and have support. So I love it.
It was awesome here today. It was a wonderful program. And I've learned several nutritional things, But the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some high protein cereal and use all the fruit, the fresh fruit. I have strawberries at home. I have blueberries and raspberries, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, for a woman over 55, this was a great experience. At first, I thought it was just for the young crowd because I had been out of touch with exercise because of my feet. But this was really sort of like low impact, very high intense. I really enjoyed it. Plus the recipes I could take back to my family and friends and use them.
What was something you learned about the nutrition program?
That we can make a lot of different combinations with the fruits and salads, and it still tastes good.
Nice thing. Is there anything you found that you learned here today that you could take with you?
Yeah, the new Zumba moves.
Mm-hmm. We're also encouraging them to learn about nutrition. So we've had nutritionists and registered dietitians come in. Today we've got a live cooking demo. We're going to talk about eating on the go, so how to eat at fast food restaurants or other restaurants if you have to, how to grocery shop, how to read labels, organic versus non-organic, so some hot button issues that we're hearing about and really trying to get women educated.
Zumba is a great exercise for both men and women, but you guys are going to take my word for it because I've got to get back to enjoying my workout and enjoying fitness. It's Zumba. You go get some. The summer of 2011 also saw the historic U Street corridor welcome the African American Civil War Museum. At such a pivotal time in the nation's history, we were all excited to see it come.
July 18th, we unveiled our new museum here. We opened it up to the public. This museum that we put together to honor the 209,000 African Americans whose names are listed on the Wall of Honor of the African American Civil War Memorial. I'm in a place in 1962. I'm a civil rights worker. I spent 2 years in Atlanta in the civil rights movement. I dropped out of college to go to Mississippi with a group of young people called SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. There's a gentleman there whose name is Henry Reeves. He's got his grandfather's rifle and his uniform, and he tells me a story about black soldiers who joined President Lincoln to fight for their freedom. And I'd never heard this before. No way I would have known that 40 years later I'd be a council member here in Washington, D.C., in charge of a district, the first district here in Washington, D.C., that a multicultural, multi-ethnic district. We put the team together, raised the money, got the city to back us, and in the last couple of years they gave us an additional $5 million so we could build this 10,000 square foot museum that we're standing in today.
Throughout our exhibit, we have a lot of information that it's never really been presented, like African Americans capturing Richmond, Virginia, African Americans capturing Charleston, South Carolina, African Americans marching from Mobile to Montgomery and capturing Montgomery, African Americans chasing the governor of Texas out of Texas on June 15, 1865. That kind of information you'll find in our exhibit. Never before presented in museum exhibits, but that's what we do here. We tell that forgotten story, that suppressed story, that story of how African Americans freed themselves and saved the Union. When you first enter the museum and you begin the exhibit, it's the Glorious March to Liberty, and you'll see it like a book cover because this is like a book on the wall. We're telling the story of a glorious march to liberty. We begin telling the story of the Africans being brought to British North America in 1619. Pointing out that these were skilled laborers. We also point out in our intro panels that many of the Africans captured and brought here were soldiers, military men, to include Colonel Abdullah Rahman Ibrahima, who had a degree from Sankore University Mosque when he was captured. He was a colonel with a college degree. In our intro panels, we end in 1831 with Nat Turner's demonstration. In our exhibit, we tell this story from the perspective of the African Americans who made the history. So it's not Nat Turner's rebellion, it's Nat Turner's demonstration. He is demonstrating to the Great House, to the Pharaoh, if you will, that's what Great House means, that if they don't set the captives free, they're going to be cursed. And as David Walker would say, they would bring sword against sword, brother against brother, literally a civil war and a parting of a Red Sea of blood through which the captives would pass to be free. We move from the intro panels into our main exhibit panels with a panel dealing with the Underground Railroad and its formation, showing that African Americans were active in forming the Underground Railroad and recruiting European Americans to that effort. The auction block. What are they? They're trying to end this system of claiming human beings as property, and we have in that panel a case with the bill of sale for a young girl, Lethe, sold for $600 in 1834. Another young woman who was purchased, but she was sick, so the letter was a request for his money back because he had bought defective property. Into a panel that deals with how African American intellectuals like William Howard Day, John S. Rock, Martin Delany, Marianne Shedd Carey, how they organized themselves in this effort to end slavery and what their objective was. Their objective was to end slavery in league with the Constitution. And from that panel, we move into the election of Abraham Lincoln and the reaction of the African American community to his election, where a group of laborers working on building the Capitol erected a column. We have the photograph of them erecting a column at the Capitol, calling it the Lincoln Column, because they believe that Lincoln's Republican administration is going to seek to make this a country that's all free. That's what they believe, and so does South Carolina. And they secede. We deal with the secession of South Carolina in that panel. We move to the next panel to the military activities, specifically the employment of African Americans as a part of the Confederate war effort as slaves, contract laborers, where the planters got paid, not the enslaved persons. Some people will refer to them as black Confederates. These are actually Confederate slaves working in what we would call combat service support, and the Union reaction to this, which is the employment of these individuals, or let us say the confiscation of these individuals as contraband of war, to the decision to issue his proclamation and how he waits because he's waiting for a military victory. And when he achieves his victory at Antietam, we have a panel that deals with the Emancipation Proclamation that would be the result of this legislation and the victory achieved, in which he was waiting so that he could mask. He could hide his cry for help to America's African descent population. From there, we move into talking about the organization of the soldiers. It was in the Emancipation Proclamation that President Lincoln ordered the generals to begin enlisting men of African descent into the Federal Army. However, the first regiments mustered in were in 1862 in Louisiana, and then in late 1862, about 3 companies from South Carolina. And we deal with that story in our exhibit, talking about these first African American soldiers and their success. Their success at capturing Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Their successes running raids down the coast of Georgia and Florida. We bring that up, we point this out in our exhibit. We move from there talking about that African Americans are recruited into all branches of the Army. Infantry, artillery, cavalry, they're musicians, they're combat engineers, or they were called pioneers. And we have a panel dealing with the fact that African Americans served in an integrated Navy. 7 African American sailors earned the Congressional Medal of Honor during the Civil War. 18 African American soldiers earned the Congressional Medal of Honor during the Civil War, and we list all 18 of them, and we let you know who these American heroes were. Then we deal with, temporarily in the halls of government, those African Americans who were elected to state legislatures, to the House of Representatives, to the Senate, and the only African American governor to serve in the 19th century, which was P.B.S. Pinchback. Captain PBS Pinchback, or Governor Pinchback. He was the governor of Louisiana in December of 1872 when the governor was impeached and removed from office. From there, we look at the legacy of these soldiers, the colored regulars, also referred to as Buffalo Soldiers, and their success in the Spanish-American War, but also in the Plains Wars, where over 20 men of African descent earned the Congressional Medal of Honor. We speak about what happens in World War I, when the Wilson administration did its best not to use African American soldiers. But we fight in World War I and fight with distinction. We fight in World War II and fight with distinction. And we establish how the service of these soldiers really begins to move us forward, and we move to the modern civil rights era, dealing with the activities of the NAACP, with SNCC, with SCLC, and ultimately those civil rights victories in the 1950s and 60s that would lead to where we are today, with President Barack Obama being America's first known African descent president. Whenever a young person leaves this museum, I want them to remember is that Americans of African descent freed themselves and saved the Union. They were their own great emancipators. And not only do they free themselves, they saved the Union. They helped keep this one nation under God, indivisible, and make it possible for us to really believe liberty and justice can be for all.
Grandparents, we have to do this. This is our job. We can't leave this to our children. They don't know how to get this right. We can still get this right. Let's get our grandchildren by the hand and bring them out here and show this to them and tell them that this is a wonderful place and that these stories here can inspire them to handle the day-to-day problems that they're sure to beat out here in life. They're going to have their problems too. They're going to have their temptations and their stumbling blocks and their dark days when they don't see any light ahead. They're going to have those like everybody else. But this museum will inspire them, and it's the kind of thing that grandparents have to show to their grandchildren as a way to make sure that our legacy continues and that our people will always continue to prosper and to do great things.
Although there were tons of great things throughout Washington, D.C., our neighbors right up the street in Baltimore had one of the best art festivals on the East Coast. Artscape 2011 was one for the ages. Take a look.
Since 1982 was the first festival for Artscape. It started with an idea. It was a smaller festival that started in a plaza downtown, and they wanted to expand that. So they took this idea, the Mayor's Advisory Committee on Art and Culture, as a way to showcase artists. And in that first year, they had a great turnout. It was right here on Mount Laurel Avenue. We've expanded it since. But they picked this area because it was ideal. It was right here where the Maryland Institute College of Art is. There's the Lyric Opera House. There's the Meyer Hall Symphony Hall. So it's a great art district right here on Mount Laurel Avenue. So it's really a perfect venue for that. So from that little idea became Artscape, and it's just grown over the years.
Ice cold water, yes sir. How you doing? Got the ice cold. Got that ice cold.
With Artscape, it's a celebration of the arts. So we want to do as much diversity as we can when it comes to the arts, from visual and performing arts and everything that means. So when you come to the festival, it's not just things outdoors. There's opera, there's theater, there's film. We added Gamescape last year, which is the merging of video games and then the artistry in that. And I think with Artscape, it's a celebration of the arts. So we want to do as much diversity as we can.
It's probably like the 5th time I've done it, over maybe 7 or 8 years, and it always works out well. It's an interesting crowd. I look at it as this is Baltimore. It's just everything, you know, and it all comes together here. Half the people are really art, and half the people don't care, and it doesn't matter, and it all kind of works out well. It's nice.
Goat skin lamp made with henna decorated on it. It's like you do the henna tattoos. We leave the henna on, and then they're colored and decorated in different colors. And the leather bags are all made of goat leather also, which is lighter than cowhide, so it makes for a better bag as far as carrying it. It's not that heavy. And the funky styles and fun styles and travel bags. And this weekend is my big bag blowout.
I am a panorama artist, as you see. This is my work. When I find a subject, usually it's serendipitously, I just find it among my travels. I take a look at it, maybe walk around, feel it out, and then what I do is I shoot. Most of my work is 200 to 360 degrees of perspective. So, you know, the way I describe it is take a sphere, slice it down from the North Pole to the South Pole, unravel it, and you basically have a world atlas. So I shoot hundreds of images, anywhere from 200 to maybe 450, 500, and I fuse them together seamlessly to create this effect. Sometimes it's a little more dramatic, sometimes it's a little less, so it really depends on the subject and where I'm at.
I've been coming here once a year, every year, ever since I was a kid.
I live in a neighborhood. Either you come to Artscape or you leave town. It's grown and grown and grown. It used to be mostly in this area, and now it's grown over down towards Charles Street and up the street from there. So it's really great. More music, more art, more of everything.
I've been coming up Artscape for about 7 years.
And why do you keep coming back?
Seems like a safe environment, good food, good shows, and it's free. It's easy to get to.
The exhibitors are from all over Baltimore, as well as the country too. So they're not just local artists, which is also great. We want to highlight local artists, but we have applications from all over the country.
Capitol Hill, DC. I've been at the Eastern Market for 20 years. The newest stuff would be the wall pieces and the new jewelry. It's all recycled aluminum and sterling silver or stainless steel. I do watches, cuff links, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and rings.
I love to see our artist installations. We have a new one, Rabbit Hole, so it's really interesting to see how artists take something as simple, their playhouses for kids, and then they paint them and they really bring their own unique artistry and their unique attitude to it, and I always think, oh, I would never thought of that, but when you come with artists and they take something simple and they make it greater, I think that's always good to see. Well, probably our big names are on the main stages, our performers with Fantasia, G Love and Special Sauce, Miguel, and Modest Yahoo. So those are our big names. But the great thing about Artscape is that you can also see up-and-coming acts that maybe a year from now they will be big and major. Well, probably our big names, we do have people from out of town who come. We did a study about 2 years ago, so we know we have more than 350,000 folks that come to Artscape, and it has millions of dollars in economic impact on the city. And so there are people who come from out of town, they put it on the calendar, or they schedule it every year to come to Artscape.
Renowned artist Whitley Phelps and his United States Dream Academy celebrated their annual ball in Washington, D.C. this summer. Luminaries such as Pro Football Hall of Famer Darrell Green and others were in attendance. We caught up with them to find out how important the work of the United States Dream Academy is to so many of our nation's youth.
1, 2, 3.
Every organization needs a community, a family that keeps it strong and helps it to move forward and accomplish the things that are important to them. What you're looking at is our family. You're looking at the people who believe in us, who support us, and they do this every year. So we're humbled that they're here, people from all walks of life, from Florida Hospital, USA Funds, Amway Corporation, President Disney is here, so we're just really excited.
A lot of things that we face in America and indeed the world, but when you're talking about supporting young people who can't support themselves, whether it be through economics, whether it be through education, and probably more importantly through moral development, there's nothing greater. So the Dream Academy, with its great leader who understands those things, has really made an incredible impact. So we're here to support that and going to continue to support it, and hopefully others out there will support it. The Dream Academy's vision is to reach these young people, many who are parents are or have been incarcerated, but we're letting the young people know that you're not, you might be down, but you're not out. We're going to help you reach your dreams, reach your goals, and it takes a lot. So the Learning Centers are there to make sure that that happens.
Well, I mean, it's really about celebrating this organization. It's really giving back. Children are the most valuable, commodity, and the fact that they're taking the time to give back to these programs. And so this is a beautiful evening, and all these sponsors have come together to do the right thing.
I always tell people that when your path becomes one of privilege, and you don't remember the innocence you've left behind, your privilege will soon cease to be a blessing and become your greatest curse. You know, people who hoard, they don't do well. But people who give find riches beyond the material. And that's why our biggest supporter through the years has been Oprah Winfrey. And she is a great example of someone who doesn't hoard, but she gives.
I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, what?
Candle.
A candle glows. Every time I hear a new baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see.
Oh, yeah.
Merging masculinity and Christianhood was the goal in the summer of 2011 for the Men's Fellowship at First Baptist Church of Glenarden in Prince George's County. So with that, they had their annual Classic Cars exhibition, and we found out that it wasn't just the men who were all revved up about cars.
We do things to attract men. We do things to draw men, and car shows, football is what draws men. Our whole deal is drawing men to Christ. And so being able to use the masculine context of things that interest men. So having car shows, having a speaker like Antoine Randall, former Redskin, speak to the guys earlier. We call it purposeful fun. So we want to have fun with a purpose. And so yeah, we want to reach men. And this is one of the vehicles that interests men. Men love cars. Women love cars as well. We have some women out here. And so yeah, we want to have events that attract men. And this is just one of our attractive events for men.
I've always been in the cars. Ever since I was younger. I was 21 when I had my first Corvette.
Of course, this is me and my husband's car.
Okay.
Because we're two, but we're one. And I support him in everything that he does. And it feels good to be out here in fellowship with other car owners, other Corvette owners, all kind of owners, vintage owners. And I've been second to none, Corvette Club. And it's the women there, and I enjoy fellowship.
I drive a 1978 Corvette with a 350 engine.
Now, when your sister talking like this, how do some of the fellas respond?
Well, most guys that know me know I can drive anything, even a truck.
And so how did you get into cars?
My husband. Okay. I'm from a car city. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. So do I have to say more?
We've had a campaign this year. We call it the 300 campaign, where we challenge men 100% deny yourself, 100% think up your cross, 100% follow Christ. And we want men to be about God's agenda. What we say here is this: when a man promotes God's agenda, God promotes the man. We want to be able to pass on something to the young men and show them that you can be godly and have fun at the same time.
Well, I just bring it out for entertainment purposes, get comments on it. There's nothing personal or anything, just like showing it.
What's some of the comments you've gotten on your car?
Oh, everybody, most of the time people want to buy it, or when are you going to sell it, or what's next. And I will get invited to Howard University homecoming. I do that every year.
What drew you to cars? What do you like so much about having cars?
I had to have something to spend my money on.
Now your car is adorned with a lot of gold, and you have the Steelers hat on. Are you a fan of the Steelers, and do you make sure that all your possessions?
I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. This is their home team car. The white with the gold, and the bug was black and gold, so that was the home team. And I've driven both of them to Pittsburgh to watch them play.
1965 Buick Riviera. The color on the car is this is a 2002 Cadillac Escalade. It's called White Diamond that you see on the Cadillac Escalades and stuff, but it's a 2002 paint. Also, you have what we call mild gold ghost flames in it. The interior is suede along with crocodile. And the interior as well as the trunk was done also. And again, that's done in suede and crocodile. On the East Coast, we are more Chevy Ford land over here in the Mid-Atlantic region on the East Coast. You see a lot more Chevys, a lot more Fords. Buicks, Oldsmobiles, and Pontiacs, you see more of those on the West Coast. Your Mopars, which is your Chrysler vehicles, Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, you see a lot more of them down south. So the car stands out in a sense because you don't see a lot of Pontiacs Buicks and Oldsmobiles in this area.
1932 Buick, had about 3 years now. It's been pretty good. Max speed about 65. Yeah, so I drive it everywhere. Don't trail it. Yeah, drive it everywhere I go. Always had a passion for cars and stuff, and I like the older model cars, unique and keep them all classic and stuff, original.
Why this one?
Well, it was reasonable when I got it. When I first got it, I got some pictures on the front. When I first got it, about $5,000, so I put about 2 in it, so now it's worth about 20, so it's good.
So when some of the young people see you, what's their response to seeing you ride down the street?
Oh, they're smiling, and some of them say, Harlem Nights, and waving. So it's good. Yeah, you get a lot of waves and stuff and thumbs up.
My bike is a 2008 Suzuki M109 Boulevard, 1900 cc's. First bike I ever owned, first bike I ever rode. Been riding for 3 years now, and I love it, man. It's what I like to tell people, though, it's recreation, not transportation. So I just go out and have fun on it and stuff like that. So.
Do you compete with the bike often?
Nah, not really, man. This is, in fact, this is my second competition. I did it the first year we had this event, and thank God I won then too. But so it's been great coming out here. This is only my second time coming here and second time winning.
Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge one of the most important events of the summer, the unveiling of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial on the National Mall. Here at Summer Recap, we caught up with some of the local corporations who made some meaningful and substantial donations and talked to them about what it meant to be a part of such a worthwhile project.
Well, Ed, I told you when we won this job, and I was so excited and so happy that I was going to give you our best. And I think with Lisa, that's what we've done.
My hat's off to McKissick & McKissick. They stepped up to the bar, and they performed better than anyone I could imagine that could have been given the job.
Well, historically, just the fact that African American company for the architects for this project is something, because there are no other structures on the mall that we can point to that were designed by African American architects. So it's not just my family. This is a testament for all African American architects as to what they can do and what they can achieve, and it lets the world know that yes, we can do it. And of course my ancestors are probably turning over in their grave saying because of their struggle and their foundation that we built upon, that they too had a part in this memorial. I hope that the feel when people get here is one of inspiration and peace, compassion for others, collaboration, which are all the things that Dr. King stood for.
The process had to be a dream, as Dr. King was a dreamer. It was a dream of 5 of our Alpha Phi fraternity brothers, 5 of them sitting around the kitchen table, saying that there should be a memorial in Washington, D.C., celebrating the African American community, African American history. And within minutes of that, Dr. King's name came up. And we began that process. We began the research with the Landmarks Commission as to how to bring a project like this to the forefront. And then we went to the Park Service and learned how the Park Service operated really on the mall. And from there, we went to the higher-ups in government to see if we could get this approved. And after some great marketing and research and prayer, we were able to get this signed, and it was sealed and it was delivered when we began to do the fundraising for it. And when the King family said we will be behind this project, we will sign off on it, and then the fundraising began.
This is a man who has made something happen that a lot of other people thought would never happen. And I want to take the opportunity to publicly applaud him for his leadership of the memorial.
The culmination of this is simply that for once in our lifetime, we have a memorial to Dr. King, first man of peace, first man of color to grace them all. How excited we all are to have played a role in this, not for ourselves, but for the future. How glad we are that we brought together African-American female architectural firm, African-American construction firm, matched them with Turner Tompkins construction firm, and the African Americans are 51% of the joint venture. We're proud of that. We're proud of the workers that we have working on this to make sure that it represented this city and indeed the world.
We have worked in a good number of joint ventures over the years from different projects from all over, and this has been by far one of our better ones. The team has just completely cut down any challenges that came about, and had not we had that kind of effort, we never would have made the schedule, because August 28th, 2011 was the date that was given to us at first and right from the beginning, and we couldn't bypass that date for no reason. The team that we put together that made up the firm, MTTG, has been just a great team, and everything has gone extremely well.
Well, the highlight really has been to see the drawings actually come into fruition, because this project is not like any other project that I've built. Mostly I've built buildings. And so this is a memorial project, and on drawings it's all in 2D. But everything about this job is dimensional. All the stonework is complicated, the curves and the geometry are complicated, and to see that we could translate that from a drawing and have the stonemasons and the fabricators execute it to exceed industry standards is my high point on that. And also, I mean, I feel really proud that I was able to have a hand in bringing 4 companies together. And once we formed that and we're on this job, I mean, we love our home companies, McKissick, Turner, Tompkins, and Guilford, but here on this job, I think it really helped that we were MTTG and we worked together with the owner. So that was something I feel really proud about.
One of the most significant things about this particular project and how we, the MTTG joint venture, approached this project, we approached it first and foremost with the community in mind and how we could have a profound positive impact on the minority business community, on the students in the schools around town, and just have an overall positive impact on the businesses within the greater Washington, D.C. region. We had the opportunity to have a scholarship competition in which we awarded 10 $5,000 scholarships to local high school seniors who are now rising and on their way into various different universities across America. So having that opportunity to really impact those 10 students was just tremendous.
I am so grateful that this was done. It was a long time coming. We strived, we got the money, and thank heaven above that this has happened, not just for African Americans, but for the world. We needed to see that America can make changes for the world, and I'm just honored that Martin Luther King has broken barriers, opened doors for everybody around the world.
It was more moving than I thought. I had seen pictures of it when it had seemed rather flat, but to see it in 3 dimensions, it really projects and it shows much more of a sense of the man than I thought it might.
Thinking about all the marches we've been participating in, and when I was a teenager sneaking off, you know, even going south to participating in a lot of the demonstrations, and you know, just to see that he's finally being recognized and honored, just makes you feel good, you know, that wow, somebody really got it together and got it right for a change.
Being one that have lived through so much of it, it really brings reality to the forefront. And then you look back and think what a struggle it was and how many years it took. So really it's a blessing.
I've been with Turner Construction Company for 40 years. Blessed to have been here. But to see this project as it has come forward, to have over 80% minority participation, to have people come together and work on this project and take ownership of the project, this culminates my 40-year career with the Turner Construction Company.
Dr. King was a wake-up call for America's minds and hearts to have equality and to have compassion for people and to have collaboration, to have inclusion. And all of that is what made my family successful over the past decades and has helped McKissick now, the company that I started, which is 20 years old this year. If we didn't have Dr. King, I don't think that my company would be as successful as it is, because we would not have been accepted.
Well, that's all for us here at Summer Recap. Now, we've told you what we thought was important this summer. Now it's your turn to tell us. For everyone here at Summer Recap, I'm Ray Baker.
My highlight was my coming in the United States and tours in Washington, New York, and Texas, Los Angeles, and etc.
I just decided to bring my kids over here to DC. Actually, it's our first time being here, just to explore them so that they will know what kind of buildings and other.
And then I also went zip lining, so it was my first, like 2,000 above water, jumping off of a lawn in a harness. That was always fun.
Well, thus far as coming here to Washington, D.C. You see a little bit of all the sights and things. We're from Cleveland, Ohio. We don't get the opportunity to see these type of things, and a lot of things that support our country, our forefathers. Just a lot of wonderful sights here.
I spent 2 months in South Africa and got a chance to volunteer with 2 different organizations over there. One was Grandmothers Against Poverty and AIDS, and the other one was Sisters for Sisters, which helps abused women. So I go to American University, and I got a chance to go over there with my school and learn about the culture, especially post-apartheid, and how everything is working over there and just the struggles that are still going on. So it was a great time. I mean, beautiful weather, and I met a lot of amazing people and got a chance to learn a lot about the culture and history.
See, Daddy can't have any highlights when he sent his daughter over to South Africa. It costs a lot of money. But my highlight was getting her back here, home safely. She's about to start her senior year at American University, and it's just an exciting time this summer going to a final year in college and getting out into the real world.